It was November 2024. In the capital city of Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, a routine cleaning operation was taking place inside an old colonial building. The structure had served as a French archive center during the colonial era, and for years, nobody had bothered to look inside. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader of the nation, had ordered a complete inventory of all colonial structures. "If we want to learn our own history," he had said in a speech, "we must first discover what they hid from us." And on that day, what they had hidden was about to be revealed. When the cleaning crew reached a room in the deepest level of the building, they noticed a strange crack in the wall. This wasn't an ordinary crack. It was too regular, too geometric, as if someone had deliberately sealed something behind it. One of the workers, a man named Kofi Mensah, pressed his hand against the wall. It felt hollow. He called his supervisor immediately. Within hours, the news reached the presidential office. Ibrahim Traoré himself came to see it. The wall was carefully removed. Behind it was a hidden chamber, no larger than a closet, but filled with wooden crates covered in decades of dust. Traoré ordered the crates opened on sight. Inside the first crate were documents, letters, colonial administrative files. Nothing unusual. But in the third crate, at the very bottom, wrapped in oilcloth to protect it from moisture, was a map. Not just any map. This one was old, impossibly old. The parchment was yellowed and fragile, the ink faded but still legible. And at the top, written in ancient script, were words that made Traoré's heart race. Carta ya Ukweli, Map of Truth, Anno Domini, 1324. Over 700 years ago, this map had been created during the reign of Mansa Musa, the legendary emperor of the Mali Empire, the richest man in human history. But why would the French hide it? What was on this map that they didn't want anyone to see? Traoré carefully unrolled the map on a table. The chamber was silent except for the sound of breathing. What he saw made his hands tremble. The map showed the African continent, but not as the world knows it today. It showed borders, kingdoms, trade routes, and cities that no longer exist in history books. But there was something else. In the center of West Africa, marked with a golden seal, was a location. A place labeled Nyota ya Dahabu, the Golden Star. Below it, written in Arabic and ancient Mandinka script, was a message. Here lies the wealth that built empires. Here lies the truth they will try to erase. Traoré knew immediately what this meant. This wasn't just a map, it was evidence. Evidence of something massive, something that had been systematically erased from history. He ordered the map taken to a secure location and team of historians, linguists, and archaeologists. Nobody outside his inner circle could know about this. Not yet. For 3 weeks, the team worked in secret. They studied the map, cross-referenced it with historical texts, analyzed the geography, and slowly, piece by piece, the truth emerged. The location marked on the map corresponded to a region in modern-day Mali, near the border with Burkina Faso. It was an area that today appeared as nothing but empty savanna, but according to the map, it had once been the site of something extraordinary, a massive underground vault system built by the Mali Empire to store their vast gold reserves. But that wasn't all. The map contained notations, written in the margins in different hands, as if multiple people had added to it over centuries. One notation, dated 1884, was written in French. It read, "Location confirmed. Vault sealed. Contents estimated at 47,000 tons of gold, along with historical records and artifacts. Recommend permanent concealment. Berlin Conference protocols must not be compromised." The year of the Berlin Conference, when European powers divided Africa among themselves like pieces of a cake, Traoré understood now. The French had found this map. They had located the vault, and they had deliberately hidden it, because if the world knew that Africa possessed such wealth, such advanced civilization, the entire narrative of colonialism would collapse. How could they justify conquering uncivilized people if those people had built underground vaults, sophisticated trade networks, and accumulated more gold than Europe had ever seen? Traore made a decision. He would find this vault, he would prove the map was real, and he would show the world what had been stolen, not just in terms of resources, but in terms of history, dignity, and truth. He assembled a small expedition team, 20 people, soldiers, engineers, archaeologists, and historians. They told no one where they were going. On December 15, 2024, they set out toward the coordinates marked on the map. The location was remote, far from any major roads or settlements. They traveled in unmarked vehicles, camping at night, moving carefully to avoid detection. Traore knew that if word got out, foreign powers would intervene. This had to remain secret until they had undeniable proof. After 4 days of travel, they reached the location. It looked like nothing. Just flat savanna, scattered acacia trees, red soil baked hard by the sun. But according to the map, this was it. The team set up camp and began surveying the area with ground-penetrating radar. And within hours, they found something. Deep underground, approximately 40 meters down, the radar detected massive geometric structures, rectangular chambers, corridors, all carved into solid rock. They began to dig. It took 3 days to reach the first stone surface, and when they cleared away the dirt, they found it. A massive stone door carved with symbols and inscriptions, the same symbols from the map. The team's chief archaeologist, Dr. Amina Diabate, translated the inscription: "Those who enter must speak truth. Those who hide truth will be buried with lies." The door had no visible handle or lock, but there was a circular indentation in the center, about the size of a hand. Traore examined it closely, then looked back at the map. There, in the corner of the parchment, was a small drawing he hadn't noticed before. A handprint, specific finger positions. He realized what it was. A key. Not a physical key, but a gesture, a code. He placed his hand in the indentation, positioning his fingers exactly as shown in the drawing. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deep grinding sound, the stone door began to move. It slid inward, revealing a passage descending into darkness. The team exchanged glances. This was real. After 700 years, the vault was opening. They descended into the passage, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air was cool and dry, perfectly preserved. The walls were smooth, carved with incredible precision. Every 20 meters, there were more inscriptions, more symbols, more messages in ancient scripts. Dr. Diabate read them aloud as they passed. Gold from the river, wisdom from the scholars, power from the truth. After descending what felt like endless stairs, they reached a massive chamber, and what they saw took their breath away. The chamber was enormous, the size of a cathedral, with a vaulted ceiling supported by stone pillars. And everywhere, stacked in organized rows, were objects, gold bars, thousands of them, each one stamped with the seal of the Mali Empire. But that wasn't the most important thing. Against the far wall were shelves, and on those shelves were books. Hundreds of manuscripts, bound in leather, preserved perfectly in the dry air. Traore approached them carefully. He opened one. It was written in Arabic, the language of scholarship in medieval Africa. The title page read, Chronicles of the Mali Empire, Volume 47, The Golden Age of Emperor Musa, written in the year 1331, Volume 47. That meant there were at least 46 others. This was a library, a historical archive. Everything the Mali Empire had recorded about itself, their science, their trade, their governance, their philosophy, all here, all hidden for centuries. But there was more. In the center of the chamber was a stone pedestal, and on it was a single object, a golden tablet covered in inscriptions. Traore approached it slowly. The tablet was heavy, solid gold, about the size of a laptop, and the inscription on it was written in multiple languages: Arabic, Mandinka, and Latin. The Latin was clearly added later, probably by European scholars who had seen it. The message was simple, but it changed everything. In the year 1324, Emperor Mansa Musa traveled to Mecca, carrying gold to distribute as charity. The world marveled at his wealth, but what they saw was only a fraction. The true wealth of Africa lies not in gold, but in knowledge, in unity, in the truth of our history. This vault contains both. We seal it now to protect it from those who would use it to divide us. It will open again when Africa is ready to reclaim its truth. Traore stood there, reading the words over and over. This wasn't just a treasure vault, it was a time capsule, a message from ancestors to future generations, and the French had found it. They had seen this message, and they had resealed it, reburied it, and hidden the map, because they knew that if Africans ever found this, the psychological chains of colonialism would shatter forever. Traore ordered his team to document everything: photographs, videos, measurements. They couldn't remove the manuscripts yet. They were too fragile and required proper preservation protocols. But they could prove this place existed, and that was enough. When they emerged from the vault 3 days later, Traore made a secure satellite call to his government. "Prepare a press conference," he said. "We're about to change history." On January 8, 2025, Ibrahim Traoré stood before the world's media in Ouagadougou. Behind him on a screen was a photograph of the golden tablet, the ancient map, and the vault chamber. He spoke calmly, but his words were like thunder. For centuries, we have been told that Africa was primitive before colonization, that we had no great civilizations, no wealth, no knowledge. Today, I present evidence that proves this is a lie. The Mali Empire, 700 years ago, built underground vaults to preserve not just gold, but their history. The colonial powers found these vaults, and they hid them, because our history, our achievements, our truth, was a threat to their narrative of superiority. He held up the map. This map was hidden in a French colonial archive. It led us to a vault containing over 40,000 tons of gold and a library of hundreds of historical manuscripts. This is not just Burkina Faso's heritage. This is Africa's heritage. And we will share it with the world, because the truth belongs to everyone. The response was immediate and explosive. African nations celebrated. International historians demanded access to the manuscripts, and certain Western governments, predictably, expressed concerns about the authenticity of the findings. But Traoré had anticipated this. Within days, independent archaeologists and historians from universities around the world arrived in Burkina Faso. They examined the vault. They verified the manuscripts. Carbon dating confirmed the ages. The evidence was irrefutable. The discovery changed everything. African history curricula were rewritten. The manuscripts revealed advanced mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and governance systems that predated European claims of bringing civilization to Africa. The golden tablet became a symbol, reproduced on murals, clothing, and flags across the continent. And the vault itself became a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with plans to build a museum complex around it. But perhaps the most profound impact was psychological. For generations, Africans had been taught to feel inferior, to believe their ancestors had contributed nothing to human civilization. The vault shattered that lie. It proved that Africa had not only been wealthy and advanced, but that this truth had been deliberately suppressed, and that realization ignited something unstoppable: pride, unity, and a determination to reclaim African destiny. Ibrahim Traoré became a continental hero, but he deflected the praise. "I didn't discover this," he said in an interview. "Our ancestors left it for us to find. They knew there would come a time when we would be ready to hear the truth. That time is now. And the question is not what was hidden in the past, but what we will build in the future." The map that was hidden for 700 years had done more than reveal gold. It had revealed something far more valuable: the truth. And once truth is unleashed, it cannot be buried again.